Well, it looks like we finally got some numbers, folks. The Nintendo Switch 2 has sold over 3.5 million units worldwide in its first 4 days. Turns out all you needed was stock and people can buy in. Now, first, Nintendo Prime, I don't know if this guy actually knows stuff or if he got lucky, but I was not expecting this. I might actually owe that dude an apology at this point. In fairness, I said that he was very wrong in the past multiple times, so that was kind of what I was basing it off of, but you know what? No, fine. My bad. Maybe he is actually in the know, and it is a sad world we live in if he is. That's number one. Number two, well, I have to make this video because otherwise, where else are all the NintenDeen haters gonna give me my engagement? So I'm bringing this video out there, giving them a nice chance to do that little Fortnite dance where they put the L on their heads and just wobble wobble. And, you know, give me the clicks that clearly I am baiting for. Third reason is because I have to reiterate what I've been saying all along. This console launch has been very weird. Prior to the console launch, I thought for sure this thing would be record-breaking. The people that have been following, the people that have been listening, know that I've been saying from the beginning that I think the Nintendo Switch 2 will have a phenomenal launch. I didn't think it was going to be record-breaking, but I knew it was going to be very good, and I expected it to be better than the PlayStation 5 and Series X and all the other consoles came before it. Because, as I've been saying all along, it makes the most sense today in a time after pandemics, in a time after bots and scalpers, in a time where Nintendo is very clearly doing their best to make sure they have enough stock instead of making artificial scarcity like they normally do, that I expect the Nintendo Switch 2 to have a great start to its life. You can dig through my old videos, you can dig through whatever you want. This is what I've been saying for 2 months now. I got skeptical for a while, just because the launch was so weird, because it's been uncharted territory. We've never been in a situation where things are still available in stores. So during the actual launch, it was a little bit more of like a maybe, but even then I was saying that this was weird. Literally, I think my video is called The Nintendo Switch 2 Launch is Very Weird. But everything prior to the launch, I told people that if you were in this for a boycott to expect that you were gonna win, expect realistically that it's not going to be a good start. For anybody that's boycotting, expect it to have a strong start, expect it to continue to be strong for the first 6 to 12 months, and then if we are lucky, that's when it will go down. That's when potentially you can see a pushback. This 3.5 million units sold number is impressive. I can't deny that. It is a very strong start, a record-breaking start to the console's sale, but it is to be expected. They stockpiled to make sure they have stock. They delayed a Pro console for 2 years, slapped a 2 at the end of it, made sure they were ready to go because they knew they would make demand for those initial sales. But the test is what's coming next. Did they get all of their 6-month sales matched up into the first few weeks? Or more likely, this is just where we are as a gaming society now. I mean, I'm content. I've already made peace that Nintendo is gone. It's not the same Nintendo anymore, and that people have just started spending foolishly on things that they don't need to spend on. And as a result, it is objectively making the gaming world worse. But people will vote with their wallets, and at least for the launch, they have voted for their wallets. It doesn't make the Nintendo Switch 2 any better. It doesn't make Nintendo any better. If anything, it's a little disturbing. But it is what it is. Now, what's funny is I actually completely finished a whole other video where I was going to be going on a rant about how insane everything is right now, and I was just about to start letting it play when I got this breaking news. So I'm just gonna let it run, in part because I think it's a little humorous and it will make me look like I absolutely lost my mind because the Switch 2 has record-breaking sales. But for the first time in all of my videos, I'm actually going to clickbait. I am going to upload this because specifically I know there's going to be a lot of Nintendo fans that are coming in to watch it so they can laugh and be like, haha, look at NintenDeen. But for the rest of you guys, the people that understand what is going on with the gaming industry, what is going on with consumerism around the world, I think you'll still appreciate the video for what it is. Just remember, I recorded all of this before I found out that the Nintendo Switch 2 was the record-breaking launch. And it's talking about how ridiculous the reviews for this console are. I hope you enjoy. Man, these past few days have been strange. Alright, you guys are gonna have to give me some feedback on this one because I don't know if I'm going crazy or if the whole world's going crazy and I just like fell out of the Matrix or something. So first up, the Nintendo Switch 2 is announced and released, right? And we look at it and it's basically just more Switch. It's the same console. It's just made a little bit bigger and it's like slightly more spruced up to look a little prettier. The Joy-Cons are the same thing, except now you can slide them on the table really fast and have fun with that. The dock is like, ooh, there's a dock, and you put your console in the dock, and you take it out of the dock, and then the cons can do like HD rumble, and the rumble makes noise. And look what you could do with the home screen. Well, you can't do anything with the home screen, so maybe that's a bad example. There's GameCube games available, and all this different stuff going on, right? So like you're getting this Nintendo Switch 2, and it just feels like it's the same thing, right? So that we've all kind of accepted. That's just the reality of what Nintendo is doing now. They're PlayStationing it. Add a number, spruce it up a bit, make some little tiny features, and then just, yeah, that's the innovation. So that's one thing. The part that's very weird to me is like this reaction of people as if this is blowing them away. Like, oh no, dude, you gotta see, like, when I put this in my dock and take it out, it's like a split second faster. Or like the Joy-Cons now, when I hold them sideways, my fingers don't cramp as much. Or like you gotta see how Mario looks on this screen and it's just so cool. And I swear these are like the user reviews. These aren't the paid stuff. This isn't the people that got their console for free from Nintendo because they have a YouTube channel and now they're just blazing all over it. These are people that took their hard-earned money, walked over to their store, willingly spent way more than this console is worth, and then now they're talking about how it's blowing their minds and how satisfied they are with this console that's just an amazing revolution. And it is so bizarre because for once, the reviews are actually more level-headed than the people that bought the consoles. Are you guys watching these reviews? I love them. They're actually very honest. Every review I've seen so far has had the exact same theme. They talk about how it is significantly better than the last Switch. The price point is a little steep, but if you're upgrading, you're gonna be good to go moving forward. There's a lot of concern with the battery life. There are a lot of complaints about how it feels in your hands. It's got like an iFixit rating of like 3 out of 10, and people are acknowledging that. They're acknowledging that there's a realistic chance your Joy-Cons are going to screw up either by the drift or by the way that they're connected with the magnets. There's a lot of talk about how using the Joy-Con like a mouse is very uncomfortable, about how the home menu being the exact same thing is very mundane, and of course about the weak launch lineup and Mario Kart World, while being a really good game to start off with, is you expect more from it because it's an $80 title. It's the first $80 title. The first mainline one. And then of course, you know, they gotta stamp like a 9 out of 10 at the end of it because where are you gonna make your money otherwise? But the point is, I think reviewers are being very honest about this. They're looking at it very objectively. They're saying what's good and what's bad. They're saying if you're going from a 2017 Switch to a 2025 Switch 2, you're definitely gonna notice that improvement. Many of them are even saying they miss the OLED screen. Like they're being honest, which is very rare in my experience with Nintendo consoles. Especially over the course of the past, like, 8 or 9 years, with the Switch 1 being so successful and people just wanting more and more positivity out of it. But the users? Oh man, my goodness. Like, don't get me wrong, fanboys are gonna fanboy. And actually, I notice a lot of the comments on my videos are from people that bought the Switch 2, and they're much more level-headed. But it's like, you see these people that are posting online, and I am convinced they gotta be bots, right? Like, this can't be humans. There's always like a brigade of like a goal line defense just waiting for somebody to make the slightest bit of criticism so that a whole wave of social Nintendo warriors can pop in with a sword and shield in their hand and just like battle it away and tell you, stop complaining that your Switch is bricked. It's just really weird. And then, you know, you go back to look for reviews. Like I want to see, oh, how are the games on the Switch 2? What are the critics saying about the different stuff that you can do on the Switch 2? And you scroll through YouTube, and what do you see? Like, a Breath of the Wild review in 2025. A Tears of the Kingdom review in 2025. An F-Zero GX review in 2025. People are talking about how well Metroid Dread plays in 2025. People are talking about how their Pro Controller feels to use on their new console in 2025. And I swear, when you watch these reviews for Breath of the Wild, or for Tears of the Kingdom, or even, like, people talking about Mario Odyssey with, like, its little patch or whatever, the articles that are being written, the review that's coming out, the scripts that are being used, and I swear it's gotta be the footage as well, is almost verbatim and identical to what you saw back in 2017. And at first I was like, okay, this is kind of cheap, right? Like they can't just reuse their old reviews and spruce it up a bit. But then I'm like, wait a second. Yes, they can. That's the Switch 2 experience. Reuse the old stuff, fix some words, make a little joke about something that maybe became part of the meta a few years after launch, talk about how much more amazing it looks on the new Switch, and then just package everything up and send it out the door. What else are they going to do for a launch of a console that's the exact same as the one that came out before it? And oh, the users are eating it right up, man. They're like sharing reviews of the same game and talking about how it scored this much now when it scored that much on the previous Switch, and that's helping them to justify their purchases. That's helping them feel warm and happy and cuddly because they bought their new Switch 2, and it's like vindication, right? Like now, Tears of the Kingdom runs like it's supposed to run. Pokemon is running much better than it was running before. Pikmin 3 Deluxe is, oh no, that one's still bad. My bad. Actually, that one's even worse. Never mind. Ignore that one. Sweep it under the rug. Don't put it on the front page. But it's just insane to me. Like I'm watching these people make these defenses for this console and for these games, and they're making these arguments for these consoles and these games. And it's, for me it's weird because like I was one of those, right? Like I used to be like, oh yeah, what's the big deal? You know, they released it again and everybody wants to buy in. But in my defense, I only ever saw this happen when they went from the Wii U to the Switch. And the reason that's a defense is because logically, in my mind, I was like, they sold 10 million of those things. They sold a crap ton of these ones. They made some phenomenal games on the Wii U, and they deserve to be appreciated by the gaming world because the Wii U didn't give them that chance to be appreciated. This was part of the agreement, part of the code, part of the understanding. This is what the justification was, not only as a Nintendo fanboy, but as a customer. The Wii U ports thing was supposed to be okay for a one-time situation, get out of jail free card, because these are very good games, and the Wii U didn't get the life and respect and light that it deserved. But again, that's just my logic. You don't have to agree with me. You can completely disagree with me, and you can tell me I'm completely wrong and I'm part of the problem, and I'm part of the reason we got to where we are today. But now I'm on the outside and I'm seeing people making the arguments that I used to make, using the justifications that I used to use, spending the money that I used to spend, I used to waste. And I'm just like watching from, what's that movie with Matthew McConaughey? Like Interstellar, right? I'm sitting behind the bookshelf and I'm seeing them doing it, and I'm like pushing the books off the shelf and trying to be like, dude, stop, you're just gonna make this worse for everybody, and the whole world's gonna end. Well, no, it's not gonna end, but Nintendo is never going to be as good as it was before. And you can argue that they've always been scummy, but they used to give us better experiences. They used to give us new experiences. Imagine a Nintendo console that's biggest highlight was the games that came in the previous generation. And this is like hardly a big jump, right? This is the minorest of leaps between console generations. Like imagine you go from NES to the SNES, and they said your entire NES library will be slightly upgraded and work a little bit better on the SNES, and we've updated all of the sprites on our main first-party games. I would have eaten that right up. That would have been very cool. Imagine every NES game got the All-Stars treatment. That would be something mind-blowing. Or imagine you went from the Nintendo 64 to the GameCube, and they were like, we didn't make that many Nintendo 64 games, but we spruced up every single one of them so that when you get them on GameCube, they're gonna be modern, they're gonna be next gen. Mind-boggling. Even when they jumped from GameCube to the Wii, and the Wii was like a duct tape GameCube and a half. Despite being backwards compatible, they never made that the focus of the console. And then from the Wii to the Wii U, it's got the same name, it's got the same controllers, but they still looked forward. They were focused on innovation, they were focused on the upcoming titles, they were focused on the new experiences. Do not come and tell me this has always been Nintendo. Do not dare come and tell me that this is how Nintendo has always operated. You can tell that to anybody else. You can lie between your teeth to yourself. You can lie between your teeth to anybody you want to lie to, but you cannot walk over to a guy named NintenDeen that has been following this company for his entire life, has been a fanboy of this company for his entire life. A dude that owns plushies, all right? No, you're not gonna tell me that, because I know Nintendo. I've been Nintendo, and what we're seeing right now is not Nintendo. So enjoy your Switch 2s, but stop acting like this is a groundbreaking achievement of any way, shape, and form. This is anything but Nintendo. Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, that just kind of got carried away there. So yeah, I just was scrolling through a lot of these pages and seeing some reviews coming up, and I just kind of was like, yeah, it's over. Nintendo is just not a thing anymore. Maybe if we're lucky and we get a new 3D Mario title by 2027, a decade after Odyssey came out, I might sit down and play that game and feel the magic that I once felt for Nintendo again. But at this point, I feel like it's significantly more likely that the next 3D Mario game is going to be a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Mario Odyssey, and then it's going to have a plus at the end of it, and there's going to be like a crappy little 3 or 4 hour adventure on there. Something like Bowser's Fury, but different. And then everyone's going to eat it right up and talk about how this is the next mainline 3D Mario game, and the next mainline one after that will probably be a mishmash of 3D World plus Bowser's Fury and Odyssey and whatever this new thing is, and then at the end of the day, they're just going to re-release something else. But it's still going to get the applause, it's going to get the cheers, and it's going to get the rosiest of tinted glasses. Phew. Okay, cool. I just had to get that off my chest. I got a late night soccer game coming up. This is a great way to get myself worked up. I'm going to go burn off some steam and hopefully score a few goals. Thank you guys for listening to me rant and listening to me vent. I don't think I've done anything like this before, but, you know, sometimes every now and then you just gotta let it out. This is just the fun part of my night when I get to talk about my video games that I loved and talk about Nintendo just being Nintendo. Cool. Thanks for your concern. I will catch you guys tomorrow.